Hello everyone. I am here today with Kate, our clear coder today to talk about her journey. Welcome, Kate.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you. Kate, let me look at my notes, loves to spend, Kate's in her mid-20s and she loves to spend time with friends and be outdoors and often has some type of crafty project in the works, which I love. I love.
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk more about that, actually. I love some DIY things. I'm so excited to have you today, Kate, and to talk about your experience on the Clear Code. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited. This will be good.
Yeah. I always like to get started and ask, you're in your mid-20s now.
Mhm.
When did you first start breaking out? How old were you? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, I first started breaking out, honestly, early puberty. I always had like small acne or texture. So that was pretty consistent. It was never anything that I was ever like self-conscious of or worried of because it was so small and it was at that age where everyone had at least one blemish on their face in high school, you know? But it didn't get significant and very obvious until a couple years ago was when I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? It was just, and it was a culmination of now that I know a lot of factors.
Yeah.
Because like the years before that, like a handful of years all through college, it was never an issue.
Yep.
So ongoing, but more severe than probably the last 3, 4 years.
Yeah. Okay. And what would you say at the time did you try? What like the biggest things that you tried to address it a few years ago?
Almost everything. I think the only thing that I didn't try that is very common is probably Accutane. That was the only thing that I didn't do, but I was on birth control. I did tried doxycycline. I know I think I did in high school. I think I also did a few years ago. So many skincare routines and face washes and topicals and tanning beds at one point even just literally everything and yeah.
Okay, for the UV rays.
Yes, yep, for the sun. 'Cause it was that was the thing in high school was like, oh, once if you're like tan, you don't notice it. I was like,
Okay.
you're right, but what else are we doing? So
What made you not want to use Accutane?
I think it was just I never had super severe acne. It was never severe enough that a doctor or like a dermatologist ever prescribed it. And then by the time that it was severe enough that it was like you could do this, I had just done enough of my own research that I was like, I don't think for me this is going to fix it. I knew that it was a much more internal issue for me, and it seemed like it was more of a lifestyle, hormonal, all kind of issue that I was like, I feel like this is just a band-aid on something that is much deeper. So I was like, I don't even want to get into it. It might work, and then my hopes are gonna be up, and then they're gonna be crushed.
Mm,
So
yeah,
yeah.
which happens. I would say most people come to me in the Clear Code having tried Accutane. I'd say 50% of clients have tried Accutane at least once,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
they have to go off, and then the whole thing starts over again, which is the worst. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
How would you say acne was impacting your life before the Clear Code? What part of your life was it impacting the most, and or what parts of your life?
Honestly, it sounds kind of silly and dramatic until
Oh,
you're in the thick of acne, but it truly impacted like everything. I think professionally, you feel less than,
yeah.
but it impacted me socially. I didn't want to go have girls' weekends sometimes because I didn't want to have to take my makeup off at night. I did go, and my friends didn't care, but
Sure.
it's like
Of
it's
course.
those little things. Or family, obviously, love them. They're amazing. They have only ever been supportive, but you still feel self-conscious about it. And I was actually kind of laughing with my mom. We have a big New Year's celebration every single year, and
Okay.
we all stay the night at my grandma's house and we camp out on the floor. And there was actually, it was last year, I didn't stay the night because I didn't want to take my makeup off and have anyone see me in the morning. And so it was just things like that that you don't realize how much it impacts you until you're past it. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's like it makes me sad for that version of me that I was so self-conscious of it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it what impacted everything.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you stayed over this year.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And it was really fun.
Okay, good, good. Gosh, oh my gosh, yeah. It starts to bleed into every aspect of your life. And then the less successful you are with the things that you're trying, bleeds more and more because you get more and more frustrated.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you found me or what you were looking for when you found me?
Yes. So it was actually on TikTok. I don't have TikTok anymore, but it was when I did have it, my entire feed, my algorithm was all acne related, all hormonal acne related, over and over and over again. And so I got videos of you all the time. Um,
Love this.
and yeah, and I loved what you were talking about made so much sense to what was going on with me. You know,
Mm.
the cyclical nature of my acne, the just knowing in my gut that like this is more than just a hormonal issue. Like this is so much deeper for me. And so that's where I came across you.
Yeah. And did you have any fears about reaching out or applying for the program initially?
Yes, I had actually worked with a naturopath not super long before I worked with you,
Yep.
and it just wasn't a good fit for me and the way that I try to live my life.
Yeah.
Because I'm a very like all or nothing kind of person, and so that it didn't work. It was a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of resources that I invested,
Mhm.
and it honestly, it made things for me a lot worse. Just the way that it was set up didn't work for me. And so I had been a little burned.
Yeah.
And so I was really nervous to try something and get my hopes up and just be back to square one. It was almost easier to just be like, this is just how it is, instead of getting your hopes up and then being let down and getting your hopes up and being let down because I'd been through that, cycle so many times. So as honestly, I'm sorry, but I was very wary at first about investing time and money into it.
Yeah.
So,
Totally. That's like a rational response to failure in the past of things, right? Like I
yeah.
would be confused if you weren't, or I'd be worried if you weren't. What would you say that you don't have to share all the specifics, but what about that prior plan didn't work for your life? I don't remember the exact detail. I remember you worked with a naturopath, but I
Mhm.
can't remember the exact reasons why that didn't work.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, it was all virtual, which obviously is what the clear code is too, but I was missing a lot of the so now what pieces. So I found out all of these sensitivities that I had. I found out all of these imbalances in like, hormones, and I did all these blood tests and I found all of these things. But then it was like, okay, well, now what do I do? And I had so many food sensitivities. I should show you all of them. Like almost everything was red. So
Yeah.
it was like I couldn't eat hardly anything. I whittled down to a weight that I should not be at. My
Yeah.
hormones were even worse. My hair was thin. I was stressing out. My acne got even worse. It was just, I wasn't nourishing my body at all because I didn't know, I can't eat any of these fruits, vegetables, meat, dairy. I couldn't eat anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do I replace it with? There's
Yeah.
only so much that lettuce can do, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it just, for me, the education piece was missing, really. It's like, okay, I know all these things. I don't know what to do to fix that. I don't like if I can't eat this, what should I eat instead, or so that was just missing for me and it just
It
didn't
didn't
work
pull it all
out.
together. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. That gets when you're really restrictive or really scared about eating things, it's
Mhm.
scary. Like, and
Yeah.
especially if you're already thin or lean and then you're not eating anything, it's the worst.
Yeah.
What made you, so you were very wary. I remember our first call, we'll get to that in a second, but what made you say, okay, I'll hop on the phone with Jill from the Clear Code? What made you say maybe this could work?
I really think it was just that so much of what I was seeing through your content, it just resonates. So much of it resonated with me. It's like I saw myself in some of those pictures and in some of your testimonials like this, it was like, that's me, bits and pieces of it. And the not black and white thinking that you have when it comes to, yeah, we try to do,
Yeah,
yeah, it was like, it's not all or nothing. That's what I needed. I needed not only it's not all or nothing, but someone to also help coach me through that. That's what was missing for me. And that I saw that in your program. And I was like, okay, I need to at least try it and see what she's all about and see if the vibes that I get through Zoom or like through our meeting are going to be as good as what I'm seeing on Instagram and TikTok. So
Yeah, I remember. So this was 2 summers ago, right? We initially spoke, I
Mhm.
think. No,
Yeah.
or maybe no, yeah, 2 summers, right?
It was 2020,
Two. Yeah.
2022. Yeah. Or no,
And
2023. Yeah,
yes,
2023.
23. Yeah. So like, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
We spoke, and I remember you were nervous and skeptical, and I was like, I get it, no problem. But I also knew that you felt, because sometimes people can be nervous and skeptical, but it's not the right fit, right? So I'm very honest if that happens as well. And I think I responded back with a really honest response back to you. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I was very honest about what I felt, where I felt you were, and how I
Mhm.
felt it could help. But also, I wanted to make sure you were comfortable with it too. Do you remember that response?
I remember you because it was after we had met, right? The email that you sent me after. And I think you had kind of challenged me a little bit that it actually, when I read it, I was like, oh my God, he sees right through me. Because you had challenged me of something of basically like what made you so open to trying the naturopath and that now that you're kind of weary of this. And that kind of just made me assess like, oh, she's right. Like I need to not think about what happened and how I got burned in the past and trust that like this is where I actually see a lot of myself aligning with and a lot of my journey aligning. You know, my acne journey thus far, it was like I saw a lot of that in your clients and in what you were saying.
Mhm.
And so it kind of just made me like step back and reassess of like, oh my gosh, yeah, like what, why am I even comparing the two? These are two totally different things. Um, and you were just, I mean, very adamant that like, I know that this can help you. You know, and I was like, I need to trust the expert in the room.
I love it. And it's funny because, again, you haven't experienced this because I didn't say it to you, but I will tell people daily now that I can't help because it serves no
Mhm.
one for me to say, like, oh, I can help and then not be able to help. That's a nightmare for
Yeah.
everyone involved. Um, yes, I remember all of this very well. And I remember thinking, again, everyone's journey is a little different. Everyone takes a little bit different time. Everyone's path is unique. But I remember thinking, no matter what happens, Kate will have clear skin by the end of this. I don't care how long it takes. I didn't think you were going to have some crazy 3 or 4 year experience, right? But I was like, come heck or high water, I'm doing it. It's happening in the clear code. That being said, so after you joined and it sounds like you felt confident that you were going to join, what were the kind of biggest aha moments, maybe 2 to 3 that you had about your skin when you first joined or after hearing your root acne triggers assessment overall?
I think a big one for me was seeing that it wasn't, I was so set on like this is 100% hormonal. Like
Mhm.
you have us test blood sugar,
Hormone.
gut health, and hormones. And I was like, this is 100% hormone. I know it. And then it wasn't, which you knew. But it was, it was kind of like an aha of like, okay, it really is a big picture. It's never just one thing. It really is, okay, I need to learn how to manage multiple facets. But then I think going from that, because that can seem overwhelming of like, oh my gosh, I have to manage all of these things. But then another aha was like after I personally kind of got over that hump of, planning meal plans and like lifestyle and that kind of stuff, a big aha is like, it's not that hard, once you know and kind of intuitively know how something is going to make you feel or if I drink a little kombucha after dinner, it's going to help immensely with the way that I personally feel. And I'm sure that's different for everyone, but like things like that, it makes you feel so empowered and so in control, even when we're not always in control, and so I think that was a big aha too, is like, it's really not as hard and as daunting and as scary as my brain had made it out to be.
Yeah.
But that's largely because I had someone teaching me about it and quite literally holding my hands through it all when I would be spiraling and freaking out, like, Jill, this just happened. What's
Yeah. Yeah.
going on? But
Yeah.
I didn't have that. Instead, I would sit there and spiral and be up all night and worried and Googling. And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
And whenever we see a little bit of change, we're going to overact. You've heard me say it so many times, right? Like, and it's so important for me to be like, no, 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 we're on the right train track to the right
Yeah.
place. This is just part of the journey. Like, no problem. We're all good. Yeah. It's tough though. What would you say the 2 to 3 biggest action steps that we've taken, like really specific for Kate's skin, have been that have helped the most?
I think really prioritizing 3 good meals during the day. And I say good as in not like food's good or bad, but like good for me type foods of my body does really well with a good amount of protein. So,
Yeah.
really having a solid breakfast that's going to keep me full. So having some type of fat, carb, protein, that's been, I think, a game changer for my whole life. Like, I'm not as snacky than at 10. I'm not grabbing like a crummy snack at work. Or, then I'm ready and excited to eat whatever I have for lunch. I think that's one huge thing is having like really good meals, like filling, satiating meals. But also with that, another huge takeaway for me personally, because I can spiral really easily and worry about stuff, is
Yeah.
that like it's not black and white. I can still have a piece of pizza when I go home with my family, or I can have if someone brings in cookies to work, I'm gonna grab a cookie.
Yeah.
Um, Yes. And so I think those things have been really big for me in changing my skin because I don't have that all or nothing thinking. And then, of course, water. I'm still not very great at drinking
Tough.
water, but
Tough.
it just wasn't something I ever thought of. I'm not someone who really gets very thirsty, which is weird, but
Yeah.
I used to be able to probably go a whole day and not really drink water, and it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Weird. I don't know. Probably not a good thing, but drinking a lot of water, it has been a big game changer. And I think just the mental relationship, like the mentality I have about my skin and my health has
Mm,
been, those are probably been like the three.
the
That
biggest.
might have been four. I don't even know.
Oh,
But
great.
the things that have really changed for me that I just really try to come back to.
Yeah, I love all of that. How would you say the clear code and or having clear skin via the clear code, right, has changed your life thus far?
I'm not constantly thinking about my skin, which sounds so vain. But again,
No.
until you're struggling with acne, you don't realize how much it impacts you. I would be talking to someone and thinking, oh my gosh, don't look at me, and like the lack of confidence holds you back from doing things that you don't even realize until you look back a year later. You're like, oh yeah, that's why I didn't stay, and how silly it seems.
Yeah.
So I think confidence has been huge. I've actually noticed now that I've really gotten into a good routine and feeling good with my skin and knowing how to treat it and take care of it and take care of my body, my mornings are so much faster.
Okay.
Um, I I joined a gym because I'm not anxious about going somewhere without makeup. It's truly changed a lot for me. I don't get anxious about staying over at friends' houses for weekends because we all kind of live everywhere. So when
Yeah.
we all get together, we stay over for the weekend. And that doesn't really cause me any anxiety or panic anymore.
Yeah.
Not as worried about being in control of every single thing I'm eating. And I'm not worried about having to take my makeup off at night and wanting to put makeup on right away in the morning, which doesn't feel good for your skin, especially I don't even really like makeup that much.
Thanks.
So I think those are some things that have really just changed. It's seriously truly changed a lot for me, almost everything.
I feel like it changed you so much. Like you look so gorgeous, so glowing. Your hair looks beautiful. You just look like you're radiating from the inside out in a way that, was a little bit missing before.
Thank you. I do. I mean, it does. Just like that confidence is, I don't know, it's just fun. You just realize it once it's back that
Yeah.
obviously I'm always a little self-conscious about certain things. We all are. But as far as my skin, that's not a worry really for me at all anymore. And it's crazy because it took up so much of my mental load in the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah. Oh, I remember you posted in the Facebook group at one point, like you literally felt like a different person. You posted like a sunset selfie or something, like a afternoon glow selfie, and I was like, oh my God, Kate. I love this so much. That being said, final question. If you could go back to yourself prior to joining the Clear Code and give yourself like any advice or thoughts or kind of speak to your foremost self or anyone who's struggling with acne right now, what type of support or motivation or thoughts would you give them, I guess?
This question always makes me so emotional.
Oh.
Um, I think just be nice to yourself.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, yes, it's your skin, but it's also just your skin. And there's so much more to you, and there's so much that can help you. And so to take that step of, whatever that is for
Yeah.
you, do it, try it. And it's worth it. Whether it works for you personally or it doesn't, whether the clear coat is for you or a naturopath is for
Yep.
you or, a different lifestyle is for you, just try it and stick with it and lean on the people who are knowledgeable to support you, and be so nice to yourself along the way.
Yeah.
Because most people, the people who really matter, are not going to care what your skin looks like under the makeup or without the makeup.
Yeah.
And the best way to really work on clearing your skin and healing your body is to love it first, which sounds so silly, but it really is. It's really true.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, so much of what we do in the clear code, I always say like clear skin is the byproduct of what we do. Like
Yeah.
so much of what we're doing is just loving up your body from the inside out, and then we're seeing the results of that in real time. That's all we're doing. And so it makes me so happy that these are the results that you experience. I actually always say that to people too in those initial discovery calls, like, especially if I know someone's on the right track for themselves, but they just don't quite have, I'm like, I don't, it doesn't need to be the clear code. Do whatever you feel is right for your soul, but you're on the right path. Like investigating down this road is the right way. So
Mhm.
I love that message too, because I think it's so relevant for all and any person on this journey. Before I let you go, is there anything else I'm missing? Anything that you wanted to share or that I didn't cover? Not a trick question if we covered a lot. So
I don't think so.
yeah, no. Overall, Kate, I'm so ecstatic for your journey. I remember when you joined. I remember how it was impacting work. I just
Mhm.
remember even like the energy that you showed up with our initial call for was just like defeated, right? Like a lot of people, like you just felt very defeated. And you literally look like you were glowing from the inside out, which is
Thank
exciting.
you.
So thank you so much for doing this with me today. And I know your story is going to inspire people and inspire them to love their skin no matter what it is, and also to seek the solutions that they've been seeking. So thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Seriously, thank you so much.